Hello. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Dr. Tan, yeah, Dr. Tan. Yeah. Dr. Tan.
I am representing Singaporeans who are unhappy with what just happened in this country, where we were promised an election for our president. However, it is quite clear, and there's no doubt now that it is a big charade to deny someone else the legitimate right to be the president of Singapore, that the people choose. This is not an election, this is an appointment. So this is what the whole presidential election has become.
Yeah, I'm here to show support for my fellow Singaporeans who are not happy about the recently concluded reserve election. We think that as citizens we have the right to vote. That's a basic fundamental human right. And it's quite possible that Madam Halima would have won in a free and fair vote. And I think it's only fair to her to give her the chance to prove herself in a free and fair election. So we didn't like the process, and that's the main reason why we are here.
I just think the whole process is, it caused a lot of suspicion of what's actually behind the whole intention of changing so much rule of the game, and along the way there's so many things that need a lot more explanation and justification on why it's reserved for Malay and why Halima and why no walkover. Yeah, so it's just a series of things that I think it caused a lot of question. It raises a lot of question marks.
I feel this elected presidency is to be a choice of the people, not to be something that is like manipulated, a ploy that is disguised in a manner that the community are all helplessly unable to say no. Yeah. When we are given a choice, it must be a true choice, not a choice that is not a choice.
I'm very happy that they reserve. Okay, not really happy, but reserve for Malay. Okay, give you some leeway. Okay, I find it a bit demeaning, slightly demeaning to just reserve for Malay. I mean, we should all be equal, isn't that right? So, by reserving, it's already a bit demeaning to my race. You're saying that if we give you a fair playing ground, you all cannot do it. That kind of way. It shouldn't be like that. Yeah, and also if I go to my workplace and then my boss say, I only hiring a Chinese for our next hiring, I will not be happy also. Cannot be you just hiring for one thing. Technically, president is a job. You cannot just hire based on race, correct?
Other than the fact that you've reserved it for the minority, you say the country need to be represented by a minority and that kind of thing, but a few days later you say, we are not ready for a non-Chinese prime minister. Yeah, so that hits me. It makes me feel that like we are all one people, we are all Singaporean. There shouldn't be only reserved for who can take the job, who cannot. It is unfair. It's unfair. Like he said, if one day, even in the law it states you cannot say I only hire a job for a certain race, a certain gender, a certain religion. But why is it for the presidential election? It is a job. I'm paying the president. It's not that she's working for free. So why is it that it is only reserved for a certain race? But I mean, honestly, I have nothing against the race. It would be good. But I have to be able to vote for it. I did not vote for this.
I was quite confused in the beginning because they keep changing the rules. So I don't really know what was going on. We had to read up about it, check on it, and stories keep changing. So it was hard to keep up. Yes, that's why we are here. And the walkover was pretty predictable. And
Are you upset about the walkover?
it was so predictable, there's really nothing much to be upset about.
Okay, the story has started when amendments were being proposed to change how the elected presidency procedure is going to be. They increased the criteria from 100 million to 500 million for private sector candidates. They decided not to change any criteria for the public sector. So only the private sector, 100 to 150 and to 500 million. Okay, and then these changes were made early this year. I think it was January or first quarter, and then we had the elections. Supposed to be in September. Normally, you have got amendments being made, but it will be effected maybe another period of time. So the story is not about why is it that we have no elections. Is the very high benchmark and what may arguably be double standards, because what is for the public sector and what is private sector is different. And then also, the fact that sudden, elections are called, within the same year of the amendments being made. And then the fault cannot, some people say, oh, how come, certain people cannot qualify, the 500 million and everything. But in the first place, the question should be asked is that, why is the criteria so high? And if I read somewhere is that for the Speaker of Parliament, they wanted to make it like 6 years, if I'm not mistaken, but then in the end, they just stuck to 3 years. So the die was cast then, and now we see the end result of, so it's not what happened, just like, this few weeks, but what happened, in the genesis, which I think happened since like November and then early this year and all that. So that's my take.